Today is 9th of Rabi Al Awwal, the third month of the Islamic calendar. It is the month associated with two defining moments in the life of Prophet Muhammad. His migration from Mecca to Medina, where he established the first Muslim polity, and his birth, which Muslims celebrate as Milad Nabi. The Prophet is remembered as Rahmatan Lil Aalamin, or a blessing for all creations. But what does this idea of mercy mean when it comes to governing a society? And can the Prophet's model of Medina offer lessons for Muslim societies today? The answer takes us to Medina, Indonesia, Malaysia, Sudan, Turkey, Bangladesh, and finally Marrakesh. The concept of Rahmah, kindness, compassion, grace, and blessing, it was the central idea to the Medina Charter, which laid the political rights and duties of Medina's inhabitants. The Charter sought to end tribal conflict and establish peace among Muslims, Jews, Christians, and polytheists. It promised that Jews would not be wronged and recognized as part of a wider political community. It established rights and responsibilities, irrespective of tribe or religion. The Charter reflected the Quranic emphasis on respecting earlier prophets, including Moses and Jesus, and honoring their followers, Christians and Jews. For this reason, centuries later, Muslim thinkers began revisiting Medina as a possible model for pluralism, citizenship, and political justice. One of the most striking examples emerged in Indonesia. The world's largest Muslim majority country adopted Pancasila, or the five principles of state ideology, as the foundation of its foundation as a multi-religious state. Indonesian Muslim leaders argued that Pancasila could reflect the essence of Islam in a plural society, and compared it with the Medina Charter. Among the strongest advocates was former president of the Rahman Wahid, a Muslim cleric and former leader of Nahdlatul Ulama. Wahid helped consolidate Indonesia's democracy after Suharto's 32-year dictatorship. Wahid emphasized Islam as Rahmatan Lil Aalamin, or a blessing for all creation, while opposing extremist movements that sought to monopolize Islam. Nahdlatul Ulama, or NU, has similarly promoted what it calls humanitarian Islam, seeking to restore Rahmah, that's universal compassion, as a central Islamic principle. Indonesia is not alone. Malaysia too has invoked the Medina Charter as a model for a multi-religious and multi-ethnic society. In June this year, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim described the Charter as a guiding paradigm in the Muslim experience. He said, Prophet Muhammad did not marginalize any group. Instead, the Prophet established a social contract that preserved the dignity of every individual. The Charter has also been described as an early example of limited government, the rule of law, and the protection of rights irrespective of race, tribe, or religion. The debate also spread to Muslim intellectual circles from Sudan to Turkey. Sudanese thinker Hassan al-Turabi described the political order of Medina as a kind of a confederation, emphasizing the autonomy and religious freedom of its communities. In Turkey, scholar Ali Bulak studied the Medina Charter for decades. He argued that its plural political structure could contribute to contemporary debates about Islam and democracy. His argument was provocative. If modern democracies can draw inspiration from documents such as the 12th century Magna Carta, why couldn't the Medina Charter not also offer ideas for modern political thought? The idea traveled further east. In 2014, Bangladesh's then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said she would govern according to the Medina Charter and the Prophet's last sermon just before he passed in the 7th century. Bangladesh's constitution lists secularism as a fundamental principle. The last sermon emphasized equality, justice, women's rights, racial harmony, and ethical conduct for the sanctity of life. For Hasina, these principles could coexist with Bangladesh's secular constitutional framework. Now the question arises, why did this become so important? Because the Muslim world has over the last few decades witnessed the rise of political violence carried in the name of religion. Key events of the late 20th century, from Iranian Revolution to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the siege of Makkah in 1979, helped create a chain reaction that eventually contributed to the rise of transnational terrorist organizations. Violence in the name of religion also fueled Islamophobia. The question therefore became, what understanding of Islam could challenge extremism? One answer came from Medina. Taking inspiration from a Medina model, in January 2016, Morocco's King Mohammed VI hosted Muslim scholars from around 120 countries. The purpose was to reaffirm the principles of the Medina Charter. The gathering produced the Marrakesh Declaration. It called on Muslim majority countries to protect religious minorities and explicitly invoked the Medina Charter of the Prophet Muhammad. It called for the protection of the rights and liberties of all religious communities. The declaration challenged the idea that Islam is incompatible with modern human rights or that Muslims and non-Muslims cannot coexist. Mauritanian scholar Abdullah bin Bhaiya helped develop its legal framework, drawing upon Islamic sources and international humanitarian law. He emphasized equal and contractual citizenship as an Islamic principle. So, from 7th century Medina to Indonesia's Panchila to Malaysia, Sudan, Turkey, Bangladesh, and Marrakesh, the Medina Charter has repeatedly been revisited as a source of ideas about pluralism, citizenship, religious freedom, and political justice. And perhaps that is its central message. Prophet Muhammad is remembered as Rahmatan Lil Aalamin, a blessing for all creation. The Medina Charter sought to translate that principle into a political and social order. And centuries later, Muslim thinkers and leaders continued to ask whether that spirit can offer an alternative to sectarianism, extremism, and exclusion. The question, therefore, is not simply what happened in Medina, it is what can the idea of Medina mean for a plural world today? Because the story of the Medina Charter did not end in Medina. It traveled from Medina to Indonesia, Malaysia, Sudan, Turkey, Bangladesh, and Marrakesh. And its enduring question remains, can Rahmah, or mercy, compassion, and justice become foundation of how diverse societies live together? Thank you very much. If you liked this video, please do comment and share this video widely. Thank you so much.